Hello, this is Leslie again with Carpe Diem with Leslie. How are you guys? I hope you're doing well. Today is Monday, October 20th. I'm just going home from work. It's about 5:15 in the afternoon, and I just thought about just putting on the phone on and recording something. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about nightmares and those relationships that were so damaging to us that 20 years later it still give us nightmares. I had one of those relationships 20 years ago. It was horrific. My children suffer from it. He was not the father of my children, thank God. But I was in a point in my life where, I didn't have a good support system, needless to say. And when you're in a relationship with a narcissist and just a psycho, they beat you down not only emotionally and physically, but mentally. And no matter what you do, how far you want to run, they get to you and they keep hammering at the same thing to the point in which it's easier to say, okay, I give up. And I was there. Like I said before, it was very horrific, to the point that 20 years later, I still have nightmares. 3 nights ago, I had this horrible nightmare. I just, and it's not like the beatings are, I dream about the beatings, but just to see him in my dreams and my nightmares, I could be, just in a public place in my dreams, and suddenly he's there. And I try to run. I try to get my kids and say, he's here, we gotta go. I know that one of my kids has very bad PTSD from it, and he refuses to go to counseling or anything like that. Actually, I didn't go to counseling either. So, I didn't go to therapy or anything like that. I just buried it. And I guess that's why it comes, in my nightmares. But it's so hard. People who have been in situations like mine understand that it's not easy to get out. You have to get to a point that it's either your life, the life of your children, or stay in that, or run. You gotta run. There is no question about it. It's just so difficult because they find you. They just hammer the same thing. And it's so much easier, like I said, to just give up. And just your strength is just beaten down so bad that it's easier. But thankfully, I got to that point and I was able to escape. And I left with the clothes on my back, even though I had purchased everything there was in that house. You know, from the TVs to the bed of my children. I left with our clothes on our backs. And luckily, you know, I got a little apartment, and he was still after me. Then I moved to Pennsylvania, and I don't go to that city where, or the area where he lives, because I am so paranoid. I go to that area, not exactly the town where he lives, but the neighboring town, once a year, when I go to a Spanish restaurant and buy tamales for Christmas. But I don't go to that area at all. And still, the nightmares, they haunt me. And I don't know if I should do something about it, you know. Maybe that's why every now and then depression gets to me, and depression hits me hard because of all that trauma that I had, and I'm still carrying it, even though I pretend that is not there, that I am not affected by it. But it's bad. So I don't know. I don't know how. I can't tell you in this video what to do to leave an abusive situation. There has to be a very self-conscious decision to flee. And doesn't matter how much they beat you down to come back. Once you reach that point, is the only thing that you have to do is flee. There is a lot of, back then, 20 years ago, I don't think I was knowledgeable enough to seek the support that I needed. I was newish in the country, so I didn't know where to go, and I was just young, and I was, like I said, I didn't know. I didn't have the good support system from my family. It was keeping up the appearances, because seemingly I was doing well. So now there is a lot of programs out there to help women, battered women. One of the things that I think prevented me from fleeing when I should have was that if I went to a shelter, I would take my children with me and stay at a shelter that I didn't know how it was going to be or what it was going to be like. And I was terrified of that. But somewhere, somehow, there is a support system out there. There is family that you can reach out to. Forget about, keeping up with the Joneses, and forget about trying to pretend that you're living a life that is great, when you know that the excuses of walking in your sleep and hitting a wall, how many times can you say that excuse? So just reach out to people, go find that strength within you to leave, to flee. A friend of a friend of a distant relative, somebody could be out there to take you in until you get on your feet, to hide you. you know. But like I said, this video is not how to do it, because obviously after 20 years of being out of that relationship, I'm still having nightmares about it and still affecting me. And I think it's something that I will have to live with for the rest of my life. And, you know, in one of my previous videos, I said that I have a great life now. I should be happy. But when my depression hits, it hits really hard. And I wasn't afraid to go to my doctor and say, I should be happy, and I'm not. So find the strength within you to have a life of your own, instead of pleasing somebody else, when the only reward you get is a beating, keeping you hostage in a house for days at a time, not letting you see your family, not letting you spend time with your friends. I remember one time that I wanted a cappuccino from Dunkin' Donuts. And that stayed with me for always. So I wanted a cappuccino, and I got me one. And then, you know, the next time I wanted one, he said, no, I got a cappuccino machine, so you don't have to go out. It wasn't about wanting the cappuccino, I guess. It was about me getting out of the house and having something for myself. At least those few moments that I could reclaim for myself. And I wasn't allowed to do that either. So red flags like that, at least for me, they were there. You may have your own red flags, and you need to really listen to that little voice inside your heart, inside your mind, that is telling you it's a red flag. Leave. Because you will have so much still tension, depression, and fear years later that you still have to deal with. And it's really not worth it. I am very careful of saying on my videos where I live, because I know he will come and hunt me down. I just know it. He went and hunted me down in Pennsylvania. I had so many order of protections, and they didn't do anything. I was told, unless you have blood, then we can do something. So I'm very careful of not saying where the area that I live, because I'm afraid this is a public platform, that he might watch my videos and see how he may think that he still have me in his clutches, and I don't want to give him that power, because he really doesn't have that power on me anymore. It's, when I'm asleep and I have those nightmares. But I make a very self-conscious decision to have my own power over myself, my person, my freedom, my feelings. But it's rough living with, memories like that, knowing that another lifetime ago, you almost died because of a relationship like that, a situation like that. So I don't know what you could learn from this video or what I may have said in this video that could help you. But I wanted to tell you a little bit of that time of my life and how bad it was, and how, which I didn't really delve into how bad it was. And I could maybe do another video and give you examples of the abuse. Some of the abuse I don't think you two would like. But whatever you do in your life, take care of yourself. Take care of yourself. Find those precious little moments where you are good to yourself, are love yourself, you know? So, with that being said, I want to thank you for listening to me. I want to thank you for subscribing to this channel. And I hope to see you in my next video. And as always, Carpe Diem.